We're back once again, only on it's Last Call. Last Call at the Alcohol, only on the Last Call Podcast.com. And once again, joining me as always, the man, the myth, and the legend from Heavy Sports, from MMA Outbreaker Podcast. And he has a lot of big news to break down, a lot of analysts, and there's hope, because we'll get to that later here. I give you the legendary Marcel Dorff. So Marcel, let's start off here with it is the epic rematch of rematches. It is Max Holloway. It's Conor McGregor. People are excited. It's UFC, International Fight Week, and you're already going. This is going to be a slaughter. This is going to be a one-sided fight. So let's get to it here. Why do you think, even at 170, Conor McGregor has no real chance?
I mean, there is always an opportunity to win. So, I mean, he definitely has a chance. But the thing is, he's been away for such a long time, and I mean, he doesn't get any younger, right? And I just think it's probably pretty one-sided. I know a lot of people looking forward to this fight. Actually, I don't think it's that great of a fight, but I mean, I have no problem with it. He's doing the rematch. Man, listen, Conor definitely has an opportunity here, And that's a massive one, because if he wins, the UFC definitely going to try to get him the title shot against Justin Gaethje. You already know that. But on that slight weight, that welterweight against Islam, of course, that's what I mean, against Islam. What am I talking about? I mean, we'll see, but I don't see it happening, to be really honest.
Let's talk about the elephant in the room. It's at 170 pounds. That means Max Holloway has to go up in weight. Yeah. And Max, has been knocked out against some guys at 155. 170, I mean, shouldn't that give Conor the advantage, because he is a naturally probably bigger man?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting for sure, man. The only thing I hope is that Denis is not the referee, because he always helps Conor. So I hope Herb is not the referee, but we'll see. It's definitely difficult, I think, for Holloway to go to 170. And I think I've read somewhere that he says that he might stay at 170 if this goes well. I mean, we'll see. We haven't seen Max at 170. I think 155 was already a big thing for him in the beginning, but he kind of adjusted last time. But then we'll see how it comes. It also depends on Conor. I still think, listen, man, Conor hasn't fought for such a long time. What would make me think that he is like the Conor of 10 years ago? Nothing, pretty much, So, we'll see. Maybe he surprises me. I'd be surprised if he surprises me.
I mean, this here's what I worry about with Justin. I mean, with Dustin. It's 5 rounds against Oliveira, 5 rounds against Dustin Poirier. Got knocked out in the 3rd round against Ilia Topuria. It was 5 rounds against Justin Gaethje, and then 3 rounds against Shang Tsung Jung. I mean, he takes punishment to give punishment. He's not one of these guys that's going to have a one punch quitter against anybody. So I know you said in the past, Conor might be old overnight. Could that be Max Holloway? And I love Max, and I hope he wins, but could this just be like he the body, mind willing, body not so much?
I mean, I don't know. By the way, you don't hope Max wins, man. You love the shithousery the UFC does all the time, man, with this weird ass fight. So you don't hope Max wins. Come on, I hope Max wins, because I don't want to see the shithousery with Conor McGregor fighting for a title again. I think we shouldn't stay in 2016 or 2000 whatever. We're in 2027. It's 2026. I'm even a year ahead. 2026, man. I mean, there are top guys right now. Max is still, I don't think Max is a top guy anymore, but he's still a top guy, Conor hasn't shown it for years, man. So what would make me think that he will show it this time? I don't know, we'll see. But I don't see it happening, to be real honest. Might be completely watch it happen and me have to retract next week what I said here, but I don't see it.
What happens if Conor wins? Let's say, because I've made a wager that Max will win. Let's say Conor knocks out Max.
You know what happens. You know what's going to happen if Conor wins. Come on.
Here. How much is it going to be insufferable with Dana, the Conor McGregor fans, You thought they were bad before. If he gets his first win since 2016, he
bro,
knocks out Max Holloway.
bro. I mean, Dana is hoping so much that Conor wins, because his dick is already in the back of his throat. He want to give him a title shot so badly, because he thinks he's the only superstar in the UFC still, you know. So, I mean, he put Conor on his Mount Rushmore. What kind of an idiot you are if you put Conor on your Mount Rushmore in MMA, I mean, yes, if you go with sales and with popularity, 100%, but not if it comes to what he did. He never defended a fucking belt. You know what I mean? So, yeah, of course the UFC is going to give Conor a title shot if he wins here. Obviously, that's what it's all about, and that's why it's so convenient for them that Max lost the BMF title. So Max is still like a very big name in the division. I know not at welterweight, but at lightweight. But if he beats Max, you can say like, oh, he beat the top 5 belt lightweight. You know what I mean? So you know how the UFC is, man. It's just, listen, for the people they love, it's just a bunch of bullshit. And people they hate, they try to keep back. It's all the time the same.
Well, this leads me to the second part. It is the co-main event: Benoit St. Denis versus Paddy Pimblett in a lightweight bout. And is it time for us to respect Paddy Pimblett more? He could have taken an easier fight. With Dana White privilege, he could have fought somebody else. Instead, he's taking on a French Canadian killer in Saint Denis. So, all right, is it time for you and me to actually give props to Paddy? But he's not taking the easy way out
I do whatever you want. You can give him props if you want. I gave him props after the Gaethje fight. I thought he looked pretty decent in that fight. I thought he lost, but he looked pretty good in that fight. Um, I thought he would have won, but that I thought Gaethje was kind of like declining, and then he wins the title. So it's crazy to me still. Um, I mean, this fight. Listen, man. I think Benoit St. Denis is a better fighter overall. Striking is better, grappling is better. You know, and a lot of people will say, "Oh, do you think grappling is better?" I think he's stronger in the grappling than Paddy is. But we'll see. I mean, listen, Paddy can only win this fight by grappling. I think. I don't say. I think the striking of BSD is better than Paddy's striking. And the thing is, like, how does BSD showing up like the last couple of times? Because he was pretty good back then, and you also know he had some bad moments before, and people were writing him off, in the division. And I know people writing him up again. I think he's actually a favorite against Paddy in this fight. It's an interesting fight. I don't mind it to be the co-main event. It's 3 rounds, I think. But I think St. Denis will win this fight, man. I'm pretty convinced, to be really honest.
So, which one shows up? Is it the guy? Is it the Benoit St. Denis who lost to Dustin Poirier to Renato Moicano, or is it the guy that we've seen, sleep Mauricio Rufy, knock out Beneil Dariush, and just obliterate Dan Hooker? Because if it's the first one, Paddy Pimblett might win this.
Brother, if the BSD that fought Poirier shows up, he knocks Paddy out in the first round. Poirier just took a lot of was able to took a lot of damage, in the first round, and came back after the first round. I think BSD finishes Paddy, to be honest. And his fight against Moicano, even there you can say like Moicano did very well early on, but BSD was coming back in that fight, and then he had such a big cut on his face that they stopped the fight. So no, man. I think BSD wins this fight. This is a bad matchup stylistically for Paddy. I feel like I think if you put Paddy against Hooker, I think Paddy most likely wins. Paddy against there are other guys in the division. I think he will win against. But BSD is a horrible matchup for him. I think so. No, I think BSD wins this fight, and I think even he finishes him. To be honest.
What happens? I'm throwing this out there. I know, but all of a sudden you're going to get sick. You're going to get pissed at me. What happens if Paddy Pimblett wins, Conor McGregor wins, we get Paddy Pimblett versus Conor McGregor at Texas Stadium? Marcel, you can be there ringside. Imagine the tickets, the PLE numbers. Imagine the hype between that fight. Dana's going to try to figure out a way we can get that to happen.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. I'm not going to talk about that now. If they both win, we can talk about that next week. That's my promise to you. But right now, we're not going to talk about that.
You're not afraid of it to happen because all of a sudden you realize, oh crap, this might happen. I might be stuck talking about that fight. Oh my god, the world will end for you. It might be worse than even Netherlands losing to friggin' Morocco. Like, oh crap.
I mean, if you want to come back to that, I'm happy the coach is gone. So at least we left something because of that game, because we got rid of the coach, which is
No, I know
perfect.
you really are afraid. There is a part that's like afraid. Shit, we might get Paddy Pimblett versus Conor McGregor. Oh god, Dana will be just really insufferable.
Bro, Dana has a picture of Conor McGregor on his rooftop. Before he goes to sleep, he looks at it, he closes his eyes every night.
Well, we go from two fights that Marcel's very confident that he knows who's going to win to this fight, which probably going to win. No, wait a minute. Yeah. So let's talk about Mario Batista versus Corey Sandhagen 2. The theory is the guy who won the first fight should win the rematch. Do we feel that way here? I mean, if you're looking at Corey Sandhagen and you're going, all right, well, he won before. Who do you like in this rematch here?
That's an interesting fight, man. The first fight is not really a good how do you say that? It's not really a good example, I think, because that was Bautista's debut, right, in the UFC. I mean, this one, I think it will be a pretty close fight, to be honest. If we look at both guys, they're both pretty all round. I think Bautista is more like a fighter who tries to stay at close distance. Sandhagen is more like keeping it at distance, more like of a striker. I think Bautista's more complete if it comes to that. The thing is, as long as Sandhagen can keep the distance from Bautista, I think he will do enough to win at least 2 of the 3 rounds. I don't think there will be a finish in this fight, but I think it will be a close fight. I think Bautista has an opportunity to win here if he can close the distance. But if not, I think Sandhagen walks away with the decision probably. But it's a good fight. I like that they booked this fight again. That they did the rematch, because I think Sandhagen is still top level in the division, and I feel like Bautista gets the chance now to fight another after losing to Umar. Gets now another opportunity to fight somebody at the top of the division, which I think he deserves after that win against Vini last time. So yeah, good fight. Good fight.
How far has Bautista come since the Sandhagen fight? And does he have the wrestling to maybe neutralize Sandhagen if he needs to?
Yeah, it's an opportunity, That's what I say. If he can close the distance, he likely can also put some wrestling in, maybe, But the thing is, can he do that, or is Sandhagen elusive, stays on the outside and tries to pick him apart? It's both possible. I think there will be a lot of both, actually, but I think Sandhagen will probably win 2 of the 3 rounds for sure, to make sure he wins the decision, But Bautista will definitely have his moments in the fight, I just don't think that he will finish his Sandhagen, and I also don't think Sandhagen will finish him. So I think it will be a high-level fight, one of the more high-level fights in the card, in my opinion. And but I think the outcome will be the same as in the first fight, at least not the same method, but the same winner.
Well, if you thought that there's going to be a lot of hype between Paddy and Conor, get ready. There is a new possible Dana White privilege on the market, and his name is Gable Steveson. The former Olympic gold medalist, ex-pro WWE wrestler, is now making his UFC debut, and it's going to headline the prelims. And of course, well, what did the UFC do? They found a heavyweight, which they probably went, all right, he should be able to win. Alicia Ellison versus Gable Steveson. Could the UFC have found anybody else, sans maybe Tui Taivasa, but they look and go, all right, Gable should win this hands down?
Every time I see Gable Steveson, I have to think about Keith Schillen from Sherdog, because he tweeted once to Gable Steveson that he would love to see him go into MMA, and then Gable Steveson blocked him. So stupid. And now he is in MMA. So, yeah, I mean, this is a pretty listen, man. Nothing against Alicia Allison. I don't want to be a dick, but this is pretty much a setup fight, of course. They searched for the guy at heavyweight they had the least trust in. And they were like, "Ooh, we put him up against Gable Steveson, cute." So Gable gets his first win in the UFC. That's pretty obvious. Everybody sees this. Yeah, Gable will likely win in the first round. I think he probably knocks Allison out.
In fairness, we keep talking about heavyweight, light heavyweight, even middleweight. They need elite level athletes. They need the next generation. And Gable is that guy. He is a 3-0 all right in his pro debut. He has probably the best wrestling in terms of the amateur pedigree than anybody in the heavyweight division. He's athletic enough. You can understand why the UFC is like putting a lot of their chips in his basket, going, all right, Gable, we believe. We believe in Gable Steveson.
Yeah, of course, I understand that fully, and that's why they give him Allison, to make a good first impression. The thing is, like, he has to make a good first impression because imagine he loses here, I don't see that happening, to be honest. So,
if he does lose, you'll enjoy it, won't you? Because you'll demand a panda to Dana White with that shocked look in his face. And you just laughing. I can tell there's a part of it that's like, I hope he loses. I just want to see Dana cry. I want tears. Marcel Dorff wants Dana White tears so he can drink those sweet tears.
You know me, obviously, I know like setup fights. And definitely not the UFC, if you do the regional scene, you see it often. It's also not my favorite, but I understand it, But in the UFC, there shouldn't be any setup fights, in my opinion. So that's how I see it. So yeah, if their plans got busted, I always love it. Yeah, that's the way I am,
And that's why we love you here. So let's break down the fight you probably loved most on this card. It is Brandon Royval versus Lon'er Kavanagh. Kavanagh has been a guy who really came out of nowhere. He's a dangerous prospect. Brandon Royval is that guy who separates contenders from elite contenders. So how much are you looking forward to this fight? Because this seems to be like the best 50-50 fight on the main card.
This is a horrible fight to pick, because it's that close, I feel like, and this is a really interesting fight. I love the flyweight division. And Brandon Royval is one of the guys I like for a long time. I think he's a great fighter. Lost his last fight by knockout against Cap, Lon'er Kavanagh, I should say. He looked really good against Moreno, on short notice and pretty much punched his way into the top of the division. Before that, losing to Charles Johnson by knockout. And it was actually in a fight he looked really good at. Royval also fought like the current champion, Joshua Van, which he fought a really close decision with. Yeah, it's a very interesting fight. I'm happy they put this on the main card, by the way. Listen, man, if Kavanagh can do the same as he did to Moreno, he can fight. The thing is, like, I expect Brandon Royval to also mix in some grappling, I think will be another close fight. Brandon Royval cannot lose this fight. And what I mean with cannot lose, if he loses this fight, he fights somebody probably somewhere around the top 10 or even outside the top 10 next time, because of 2 back-to-back losses. Plus, he fought the champion already. So he needs to win this fight. Kavanagh, he's still young in his career in the UFC, but it's a big opportunity to win here. Might give him a title shot pretty soon. Maybe needs another fight. I'm going with Royval in this one. I'm picking him by decision, but I think this will be one of the best fights of the night. I'm looking forward to this one.
So that's the big key. How good is Kavanagh's wrestling against Royval? Because you know that when Royval has lost, it's because the other guy is able to at least stop him from just taking him down and controlling with the wrestling. So with Kavanagh, like this one loss was Charles Johnson. It was by strikes, and again, we talked about how Charles Johnson can either catch you and put you to sleep, or he'll get out wrestled. How much do we know about Kavanagh's wrestling? Is it good enough, you feel, against Royval?
I think it's decent, man. But the thing is, like, how good is it? I don't know. We have to see more. And that's what makes it interesting, this fight, I feel like, Listen, Royval is also not a big crowd guy or wrestling guy, but he mixes it in sometimes, And if it's convenient for him, he can use it, So maybe he uses it against Kavanagh. If Kavanagh can defend it, he has also a good chance to win. You know, it's an interesting fight. That's why it's so interesting. And yeah, looking forward to this fight. You know, but this is one of the toughest picks on the card, in my opinion.
If Kavanagh wins, how quickly does the UFC do Kavanagh versus Van if Pantoja can't get healed up enough? Because you know they want to do that.
I don't know, to be honest, you know, because you also have Cap, you know, and Cap deserves it pretty much, you know. So you got Pantoja, you got Cap. Um, I mean, the thing is for Kavanagh is like maybe he needs one more, and normally he wouldn't have needed one more probably, but that's because you have Pantoja and Cap in front of you, who are actually both are deserve. Listen, Pantoja deserves his rematch, and Cap deserves to fight for a title, in my opinion. You know, so you got two guys in front of you. Maybe he has to fight Tyra even before. You know, we'll see. I don't know yet, but we'll see. And it depends also on how he looks. Listen, if it just comes through with a decision win, he probably needs one more, you know. But if he makes a spectacular finish, yeah, maybe he gets maybe he leapfrogs the other guys. We'll see. We'll see.
Let's go to the rest of the card. Now you look at the main event once again. We covered it. It was McGregor versus Holloway. It's St. Denis versus Pimblett. Sandhagen de Batista. Roybal Kavanagh. Bobby Green versus Terrence McKinney in a fight which, do not blink, this will be action packed and somebody might get their life turned out. All right, so in terms of stakes, neither guy is probably that top 15, top 10 guy, but for just a fun fight, as you call it, you can't get any more fun than Green versus McKinney.
It's the exact reason why it's the opener of the main card, you know. I mean, you know, McKinney is action-packed, has 100% finish rate, and it is finishing himself or being finished, you know. Bobby Green always comes to throw down, is a fun fighter to watch as well, has some great finishes in his last couple of fights. This is going to be a barn burner, you know. And you already know, man, if McKinney is not able to get him out in the first 2 or 3 minutes, Green probably gets a finish, you know. So, listen, if I'm looking at it, I think McKinney will be able to catch Green on his chin, probably, you know. So my initial pick would be McKinney. But if Bobby Green can overcome the adversity like he did before, you know, he can beat McKinney, because McKinney struggles normally after like 4 minutes, you know. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. And this is one, like you said, don't blink.
Meanwhile, you have former middleweight champion Robert Whittaker moving up to light heavyweight, taking on Nikita Krylov. And this should be interesting to see how Whittaker does at 205. At 185, I think he got as much. He was a former champion, so he did everything he could. Started losing to tougher opponents that you could argue, well, you know, just maybe came a bit short. How does he look at 205, and what do you want to see from him versus Krylov?
Bro, I fucking love Robert Whittaker. He's always been one of my favorite fighters. So I have really difficulties to pick against him. I think the only time I picked against him is in his second fight with Adesanya, because I really didn't saw a way for him to win. The thing is with, and also I don't know against the Ritter if I picked against him or not. I don't know anymore. But yeah, I mean, the thing with Krylov is kind of chinny. You know, he has better in his last fight against Bukauskas. Whittaker, yeah, well, we need to see how he does at light heavyweight, you know. It's interesting. I don't know yet, man, to be honest.
We know Krylov is a bit chinny. How does Whittaker's powerbow translate? That's going to be the question. And can he take a guy who is probably cutting from heavyweight to 205? That's a whole different story from fighting guys at middleweight, when you're taking almost guys who arguably could be heavyweights.
Yeah, that's why I think it's a good matchmaking, because you don't know, right? We don't know. It's this thing like, listen, if I look at pure talent, yes, I pick Robert Whittaker any day of the week, you know, but at the same time, you got a guy who fought at welterweight before, then fought at middleweight, now at light heavyweight, and we got a guy who fought at heavyweight before and is at light heavyweight now. So it's like probably two completely different frames as it comes to body strength. You know, so it's interesting. And I don't know what the approach of Krylov will be. Will he strike with Whittaker, or if he's trying to grapple? And if he tries to grapple and he can put in the mass of his body, it might be difficult for Whittaker, you know. So that's why it makes it so difficult. So I can see it go both ways, you know. I think if Krylov is smart and he gets to the ground, he has a good opportunity to win. And if Whittaker is, can be able to keep it standing, pick him apart from the outside, then Whittaker can win this fight. So it's a really difficult fight to pick, and I haven't made my mind up yet, to be really honest.
We go to a bantamweight scrap between Cody Garbrandt versus Adrian Yanez. This feels like the UFC's trying. Man, when I say trying, I mean really trying to find guys that Cody can possibly win, because they would love to have another Cody Garbrandt, run. Call me crazy. I thought, Yanez did enough to beat Ricky Simon in the UFC Fight Night Adesanya versus Piper. Is this a bad matchup for Garbrandt? Even though, he's coming off the win, he's just a fight where you're like, oh, all right, this might be too much for Cody, who just doesn't look the same ever since, he lost those back-to-back, fights years ago to a drug cheat.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you, man, here. The thing is, like, I also thought that Yanez did enough to win against Simone. I could see a draw because it was possible, but I thought Yanez won. If you look at Garbrandt, listen, Garbrandt, in my opinion, didn't win his last fight. He got the guy he fought, Xiaolong, got 2 points deducted, I think, because of being a dick. And rightly so, he got the points deducted. I still think Garbrandt got kind of lucky with the win because I thought he lost all 3 rounds. But yeah, I mean, this is interesting, of course. For Yanez, it's a big fight, because like Garbrandt is still a massive name in MMA. Whatever you want to say about the guy, he's definitely on the decline, I think, but he's still a massive name in MMA. So win over Garbrandt is good on your resume. Yanez needs this marquee win, in my opinion, to get on his resume, because he has some good wins, but nothing like spectacular against real good names. And Garbrandt might not be the Garbrandt anymore of 10 years ago, but he's still Cody Garbrandt. So yeah, I'm picking up Adrian Yanez for sure in this fight, and I even think he finishes Garbrandt probably.
If Cody Garbrandt loses, does the UFC move on from him? I know he's the big name, and I know they're trying, but it's one thing to barely win against a guy who basically had 2 points taken away for nut shots. It's another thing to lose to a guy who they literally, like you were talking about, Steveson versus Elson. Hey, this is a setup fight. This feels like the UFC trying to set Cody Garbrandt up. If he loses, they just go, all right, you had a great career, Cody. It's time for you to move on to the pasture.
It's possible, man, but Cody doesn't strike me as a guy who's going to retire or whatever. He's a guy who goes to BKFC or something if the UFC cuts him. So I don't know. We'll see. I think. Listen, I have nothing against Cody. I think he was amazing, but you feel like it's just not there anymore. The fighters were like when Cody was on top of his game, and other guys were really scared. And not scared as in scared to not want to fight him, but they were tentative in the cage. And these guys are not tentative in the cage anymore with him, So, yeah, we'll see. I think Yanez might finish him, I hope not for Cody. But, yeah, I don't see this going in a good way, to be really honest.
Well, the early prelim card. Let's run down that quick. The last fight of the prelim card. It is Luke Riley versus Kai Kavanagh the third. This is a dangerous fight for Ben Riley, because Kai is a guy who you and I have covered. Great guy, but he is a mucker. He can drag it into a firefight. He can make it sort of a phone booth fight. And with Riley, you're not sure. Like, okay, do you have that next gear? Because if not, this could be a long night for him.
Well, Kai is my guy, so I hate to pick against him, but I have to be honest here. The thing is, like you said, Kai loves to be in those firefights, and you saw it against Dakota Hope last time, and he gets hit. The thing is, if you get hit by Riley, you might be screwed, and he will get hit by Riley if he fights like he always fights, Listen, I shouldn't be biased as somebody here, but obviously I hope Kai wins because I like the guy a lot. He's great. But if I have to, if you put me at gunpoint, I have to pick Riley. I think Riley might finish him. Because the way Kai fights, he gets hit, and Riley can finish. Man, I hope Kai surprises me in this fight. But Riley is a really tough task to fight, and definitely the way Kai fights. Kai is a really entertaining fighter. He's a fan-friendly fighter, but against Riley, that can be a problem.
How good is Luke Riley? That's going to be the question we need to know. Because so far, last time I asked you, you want to see more from him. You want to see, maybe he's 13-0, but we still don't know. All right, he hasn't really fought anybody at this level. How much is this for the UFC? Like, all right, let's prove it. You beat Bogdan Grod. That was nice. You beat Michael Oswald Jr. by unanimous decision. That was pretty nice. Is this sort of a step up for him? Like, all right, let's see what he can do against the top 15, top 20-ish fighters.
For me, Michael Oswald Jr. is also a pretty decent fighter. Kavanagh is as well. Bogdan Grod is also decent. The thing is, like, he fights guys who he's favored against, and people expect him to win against. I want to see him fight guys who are pretty much evenly matched up. And this sounds really bad for me to Kai, but listen, the thing is, like, the way Kai fights doesn't make this kind of an evenly match up. Because Luke Riley fights way more. How do you say that? Hesitant is not the right word because it sounds bad, but you know what I
This
mean.
feels like, in your words, this feels like a fight in Luke's wheelhouse. That he has power.
Yeah, exactly. So I want to see him against even better opponents. Guys like who are almost somewhere at the top 15, top 20, in between there. And we know Kai is not there. Kai is probably around top 35 or something. And that's no problem. But the thing is, like, I want to see him fight higher ranked guys, and the UFC loves to wait with these things all the time, and they're going to make him fighters. They try to just build up his records, but hey, maybe I'm wrong. I hope Kai proves me wrong, but we will see.
Speaking of proving you wrong, it is a women's flyweight bout between the woman who everybody says one of the hottest young women in the sport, Tracy Cortez. Well, the UFC's found an opponent, which it seems like they're betting that she will win. It's going to be her versus the underrated Wang Kong. Your thoughts? And is this one of those fights, like you mentioned before, with Steveson Ellis? Like, all right, we need to get Tracy a win. Who can we find? Oh, there you go, Wang Kong. You're up.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you, man. These two are two very hyped in the UFC, and I both don't see them as future champions. I think Cortez is decent, but kind of mid, to be really honest. Her grappling is okay. Her striking is not great. I think she's rightly in between top 8, top 15. There's where she belongs, I think. And for Wang Song, the same thing. Wang Song hasn't really surprised me anyway. In the last couple of fights, she won the fights I expected her to win, but this is pretty much a striker versus grappler fight. Cortez is trying to get her to the ground and control her there, and Wang Song is going to try to kickbox with her. I think Cortez takes her down many times. Probably will tire her out on the ground. I think Cortez wins. By decision. But it's going to be a fucking boring fight, man.
The rest of the prelims we've got, it is Cesar Almeida versus Damian Pinas. Last time we saw Pinas, that looked pretty good. Can Cesar Almeida, is this going to be a good fight, or you look at this and go, all right, Damian should just steamroll over the Brazilian?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
Okay,
I can hear you.
Okay. So, this is the thing, like with Pinas here. I mean, he has looked great so far, what we saw in the Contender Series and in the UFC. And Almeida has looked decent, but when he got to step up in competition, he hasn't looked that great. So it's a difficult fight to see because I haven't seen that much from Pinas yet, but maybe here, I would definitely pick him in this fight. I think he can get the finish early on in the first round, maybe. But the longer the fight goes, I might favor Almeida. But I'm taking Pinas here. I think Pinas can win this fight. I think there's a good matchup for him.
Meanwhile, we got his Problema, Ryan Gandra. He will be in action against Zach Reese in the fight where this feels once again like, all right, hey, made a great debut, 41-second knockout, Ryan. Now let's see if he can do against Zach Reese. And the UFC's going, hey, let's find the dreaded C word of Marcel's, a cupcake.
I mean, Brian Gandra got a cookie in his Contender Series, and he got a cookie in his UFC debut. Now he fights Reese. Reese is pretty more of a challenge, I think. The thing is with the power of Gandra, I expect him also to put Reese away early on. Unless he gasses and Reese takes over, But I'll take Gandra in this fight. I have to pick him. It's a step up in competition for sure if you compare it to the last couple of fighters he fought. But he still should be able to beat Reese, in my opinion.
How good is Gandra? I mean, when you look at him, do you see
I cannot say. I cannot say because the level of competition is not good, I cannot say yet because even he can be he can be he can lose against Reese and then we know more, but if he beats Reese early on again, we still don't know a lot, because Reese is also a guy who has a lot of flaws in his game. Nothing against Zach Reese, good dude, but he has also some flaws in his game. So we need to see him against better competition before we can really form an opinion on him, but what we see for so far is pretty good.
And finally, leading off the early prelims, there'll be Cody Durden versus Alessandro Costa. You and I both thought Cody was going to lose the last fight. Then all of a sudden, he shocked everybody, including the UFC, when he beat Rafael Filo. And even we're going, holy crap, how that happened? So could this be, do you see him pulling off again? Do you see him going now 2 wins in a row against the very dangerous Alessandro Costa?
Yeah, I like Durden a lot, man. He's a good dude. A lot of people have really bad things about it to say all the time, but he's a really good dude, But Costa's really good, Costa is a guy who has some losses on his record, but still has to look good in the UFC, and he got heavy hands. The thing is, if Durden wrestles him for 3 rounds, he can win the fight, but I don't think Costa let him be in wrestling for 3 rounds. I think Costa will be able to land some good shots, and if he doesn't win by finish, he probably wins by decision. So for me, it's Alessandro Costa. I know it's a short notice fight for him, but still, I'm picking him. I would have picked Durden against Osborne, by the way, but I'm picking Costa against Durden in this one.
All right, so how much are you looking forward to this card? How much do you look at this card go, all right, it's going to be a lot of just one-sided knockouts. Do you have faith, or are you looking at this card going, all right, it's really overhyped? And you're looking going, all right.
It's a good card. It's a pretty good card, man. I mean, it's okay. It looks pretty decent. I mean, you have Whitaker on the prelims, like what the fuck, But I mean, the main card is pretty good. I feel like the first 3 fights are really interesting. The 4th fight is interesting as well. The main event, I don't really care, to be really honest. But at the same time, I'm interested in how it will go. So overall, pretty good card, man. Looking forward to it.
Let's talk about what you really want to talk about. Ronald Koenig is gone. He stepped down. The campaign led by Marcel Dorff to fire this guy. He's pissing me off. He ruined the World Cup for me. It happened. He's gone. He stepped down voluntarily, do you think, or did he see the winds of change and go, all right, I better exit before I get fired?
I probably stepped down voluntarily because, he has, his wife is ill at home, so that's probably also a big reason why he stepped down. But listen, nothing against him in his personal life. I wish him nothing but the best, and his wife as well, of course. But I'm happy he's gone. Absolute nightmare of a coach the last couple of years, in my opinion. Absolute disaster class against Morocco. You saw Canada today against Morocco. They lost 3-0, but still, at least the first 25 minutes, they had more chances against Morocco than the Netherlands had in 120 minutes. So it's just horrible. I'm happy, but who's coming back? I hope not kind of the same kind of a person. Because I also don't trust the board of the Dutch who they are going to get back. We'll see, but I'm happy he's gone, man. He should have been gone 2 years ago, but he kept going on. But that's what it is.
So right now, Dutch Football Association Technical Director Nigel de Jong, he is going to be, I guess, a major influence on who they pick. Who should they pick? Give me some people that you're thinking, okay, we need to target these guys. This is who the Netherlands should bring in. That's the next head manager. Dutch.
For me, there are 3 options, man. You got Arne Slot, who is who got how do you say that? Who got fired at Liverpool a month or 2 ago? He's a good. He would be a good one to put in front of the Netherlands team. You got Peter Bos from PSV, who is he actually signed a contract extension, so that will cost the Dutch board a lot of money to get him probably. And the third one, which a really difficult one to get, might be Pep Guardiola, who is like one of the biggest coaches in the world. But he said more times that he would love to train the Dutch national team. So, I mean, that's an option to me, you know. You have also people say Michael Reiziger, who was like the coach, who was the coach of the youth of the Dutch. I don't need to see him. He was a great player at my team at Ajax, but I don't need to see him coach the Dutch national team now. And there are even people saying like the former Dutch women coach of the women's coach should do it. But I'm not for women in men's sports, to be really honest. So I don't want to see that.
So you mentioned it already, Arne Slot, who
Yeah.
is some people call the dream candidate. There's also Eric Ten Hag, who's emerged as a candidate for the Netherlands head football coach.
Mm-hmm.
Let me throw this guy out there. Pep Guardiola. Could he be somebody like, hey, all right, a little bit outside the box, but hey, I'll go for this guy.
I mean, that would be also like a dream candidate. You know, he's like a next level big coach, and the thing is, like, he has like the philosophy of Johan Cruyff, who is like the biggest Dutch player of all time. You know, and he actually I think he made his debut under Cruyff at Barcelona. So it's like that would be big if they are able to get that guy, but I don't think they will. You know, probably not. I think he will be too expensive, and the Dutch are kind of cheap, so I don't think that will happen. But that would be like dream candidate almost, you know. But I think they will probably come with. I hope they come with Arne Slot. You know, if they don't come with Guardiola, Eric Ten Hag, he just got appointed as a FC Twente technical manager. So I don't know if he can come, but Arne Slot would be good. You know, I wouldn't have a problem with that at all.
I know you say that historically they're very frugal, but could this be, after seeing what happened with Kunin, after seeing them go, okay, God damn, we've regressed. We were in, but we were basically in the semifinals, the finals. Now we got knocked out by a friggin' team, Morocco, in the group of 32. Could this be what changed? Could this be where Marcel gets his wish? And they open up a checkbook and they go, we're going to spend. Screw this. We're going to find the best coach. If we need to even hire Jurgen Klopp, we will hire Jurgen Klopp. We will pay up the nose.
I think Jurgen Klopp will probably go to the German team, man. You know, so I don't think Jurgen Klopp wants to come to the Dutch. But man, I mean,
Marcel, you can fly out there with your peeps. Say, hey, I know Dana White. He'll give you a big bag of money if you help us out here. You can convince Jurgen Klopp to come to the Netherlands.
Listen, if it's up to me and I can get any coach I want, I get Guardiola, because he knows the Dutch team. He knows the way of the way we want to play football, and that's not the way Ronald Koeman lets them play. You know, listen, the Dutch football is 4-3-3. It's like 4 defenders, 3 midfielders, 3 attackers. You know, and it's always like going out from your own strength. You know, play attacking football. That's the Dutch football. That's the Dutch philosophy. You know, that's where the Dutch football got like famous with. That's why people love to watch the Dutch football normally. You know, and that's not like what did he do? 5-4-1 or 5-3-2. We don't give a shit about that. You know, that's just like pitch football, in my opinion. You know, and if you have if you have like a horrible team like Paraguay has and at the World Cup, like we just saw against France, I understand you play bitch football, you know, but we're the Dutch. We don't have a horrible team, so don't play bitch football, you know. Listen, I don't mind. Like I said, if you have not a good team, you play like a bitch. That's okay. I understand that if you do that. But we have some good players in our team, you know. And he played like a fucking bitch for 120 minutes against Morocco, you know. Everybody who saw that game, even the Moroccan fans, were like, the hell are we playing against here? You know, they don't even want to play football, and that's horrible. I've almost never seen that from a Dutch team, and that's why I was so upset with Koeman, how he let our guys play, you know. And then I see Canada play today against Morocco. I know they lost 3-0, but in the first half, the first 30 minutes, they put high pressure against Morocco, and Morocco could have trailed with 0-1 or 0-2, you know, in the beginning of the game. They did it because Canada missed the opportunities, you know. But then you look like Koeman is a massive clown as a coach, you know. So I mean, that just pissed me more off, you know, because I feel like I felt like we could have played France on Thursday, you know, if we didn't have Koeman, you know. But listen, all respect to the Moroccans who beat us. They deserve to beat us, no problem. But yeah, that even pissed me off more, because we should have still been there if we didn't have this coach.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, we always love having him on the show because he pulls no punches and takes no dives. I give you once again from heavy on sports and also from the MMA Broad Spectrum podcast. I give you Marcel Dorff. So, Marcel, once again, where can fans check out your work? Where is the X, the YouTube, the Rumble channel? I hear you even have a Substack, your own YouTube channel. Like, where can fans check out the work?
I mean, Big Marcel 24, Twitter, Instagram. Doing work for Topology as the Dutch editor, MMA Outbreaker, the YouTube channel, the live section where I do the podcast with Adam. The live podcast is tomorrow, Sunday, I think, 8 p.m. or after the Mexico-England game, we will go live. So I don't know how late that ends. So there can be like extra time and penalties, but after the England game. Yeah, that's it, man. Thanks for having me as always, Chris. And yeah, let's hope it's a good event on Saturday. And looking forward to talk to you next week. And all the best, man. Thank you so much for having me as always.
Pleasure is always here, Marcel. Once again, Marcel Dorff, ladies and gentlemen, always honor, pleasure to have you on the show. We come back. We got a lot more going on here. Only on it's Last Call. Last Call, the alcohol only on the Last Call podcast.com.